In this video, we are looking at some of my best advice so far. So whether you're a beginner or an intermediate tattoo artist, this video is packed full of useful tips. Everything from how to tattoo marketing covered. So guys, stay tuned for that. But let's get into the video now. We're going to start off with 7 tattoo mistakes that all beginners make and how to avoid them. Guys, so the first tip I want to share with you is one that is massively overlooked by a lot of artists, and that is to check your needles before you use them. So most people are using cartridge systems, so I'll show you an example. You want to be looking to make sure that the needle is not defective, and this is quite common with some cheaper cartridges. So the things you're looking out for are that the needles are all sharp and there are no blunt needles. You want to make sure that the needle is central to the cartridge and not sort of hanging off to one side. You also want to check to make sure that there's not excessive wobbling, because the membranes that control the tattoo needles can sometimes be defective, so that is something to look out for. Now, it's very important that you do this because if you do use a defective needle on a client, it can affect your tattoos, can also cause excessive amounts of pain and swelling and stuff like that, so that is definitely not something that you want. So make sure that you're checking those needles every time you open a new needle and before you use that on the skin. Guys, this one's less practical, but this is a mistake that so many tattoo artists are making at the moment, and this is mixing your social media. So I get that it's quite tempting to want to share, with your clients, your personal life, your dog and your holidays and whatever sort of social life that you've got. But this is not good business. You want to keep your tattoo life separate from your personal life, because this does actually affect the amount of followers and subscribers and stuff like that you're actually going to get. Because if you've got 1 or 2 little personal posts on there, you can get away with that. But if half your posts are personal and half of them are tattoos, that is very confusing for clients, and just to be honest, people are just turned off by that in general. So guys, don't make that mistake when you're starting out. Make sure that you are keeping your business and your personal life separate. Guys, the next one I want to share with you is about client positioning. Now, it's hard to know when you're starting out, but different tattoo areas require your client to be in a certain position. So it could be a lying position or a seated position. The common areas are, lower back, back of the arm, inside of the arm, things like that. You need to be making sure that you are doing your research on how to position a client before you're doing a tattoo, because this is going to cause a massive comfort issue for both you and the client, and yes, it's not going to be good. The main thing that you want when you're doing a tattoo is to make sure that the skin is kind of stretched out, but it's not overly stretched out and it's not twisted or in an unnatural position. So do your research before you are placing your clients down and doing your tattoos, because if you're doing a long session, it's going to cause you all kinds of drama. Guys, another quick practical one for you here, and that is making sure the cartridge is securely in the machine. Now, every machine and every cartridge might have a slightly different tolerance, but some of them do require a little bit of force to actually just twist in that cartridge and make sure that is in the needle properly. If you're using traditional needles, there's also you have to bend them. You have elastic bands as well if you like. There's lots of little different tips and tricks for that, but that's for another video. As a beginner, as you know, I mainly recommend using a cartridge system, and so this is for cartridge users. Get that in the machine and twist it all the way to the left. Make sure that is securely in there. If it's not in there properly, it's going to rattle around and it's going to give you inconsistent tattoos. So do watch out for that one, guys. If there's any questions or anything like that, just pop them in the comments. But guys, let's move on to the next tip. And this one is about, this one is actually a difficult one for not just beginners, but every tattoo artist in general. And that is pricing your tattoos. So a couple of things to watch out for is pricing for designs. Now, if someone comes to you with a tattoo design, it's going to take 4 hours or whatever, and you're just copying that onto the skin. You charge for that, however you would normally charge, but if you want a custom tattoo that's actually going to take an extra 4 hours to design, you need to be putting that into your price, because you don't want to be wasting time and not getting paid for it, guys. If you're putting loads of time into designing a tattoo, that needs to be reflected in your price, because that is custom work, and that comes at a premium, guys. So make sure that you are putting that into your price. The next thing is, when you start out, you might have your initial clients and you might give them a cheap rate. And just bear in mind that it's very hard to increase your rates on people. So you either want to make sure that's a fair rate to start off with, nothing like ridiculous, or you want to just let them know that once you do get more experience that your prices are going to be going up, so there's no shocks. That's actually a bit of an issue, because most people keep their clients, if they're any good anyway, they will keep their clients, their initial clients. So make sure that you aren't actually just selling yourself short by doing that. So guys, that's something to look out for. Guys, the next one I want to share with you is a bit of a grey area, but this is about copying other people's tattoos. Now, in my opinion, I think if people are putting their designs online, that is fair game to use. It's nice to alter it a little bit, just if you can, and just expect that tattoo is obviously going to be copied a load of other times, so it's not going to be an original tattoo. But I think that's fair game if someone puts their design online. But what isn't is actually stealing a tattoo from someone else's skin. So what you'll find is that people will actually get a photo of a tattoo off someone's skin, Photoshop it, print it out, and then reapply that onto someone else's skin, and that is a little bit of a no-no, and it's actually not good for you because you can't really show that tattoo off, because people, other artists aren't going to respect that. Not good for your portfolio, and it's just the tattoos aren't going to come out as good either, because you're using a lower resolution photo and it's probably distorted. So guys, don't do that. Watch out for that. But as I say, if you can, try and alter your designs, keep all your tattoos original if you can, because that's going to give you a bit more of an identity as a tattoo artist. So a lot of tattoo artists, especially when they start out, won't invest the right money into the equipment. So they'll use a subpar machine, subpar power supply, maybe subpar needles, and their whole setup just won't be professional. You want to make sure that you've got everything, including a stencil printer if you can afford it. You want to make sure you've got all the equipment, because this is going to keep your client retention high, because people are going to know that you know what you're doing, that you are a serious tattoo artist who has invested in themselves. It's also going to improve your tattoos, and it's just going to do a world of good. So make sure that you're not using subpar equipment, make sure that you are investing in yourself, and if you have got anything that is outdated, let's look at trying to upgrade that. If you're using coil machines, let's maybe look at moving to a rotary. Those are a bit outdated, and it's everything, guys. So it's not just the main equipment, it's everything that you use for your hygiene, it's your tattoo workstation, it's everything. So make sure that you're investing in yourself, so that people know that you are serious about tattooing. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. Have got tons of tips on the way, but one thing I just wanted to touch on quickly is that if you are looking for a new tattoo machine, or your first tattoo machine, Dragonhawk are offering extremely well made machines at very competitive prices. So these are the machines like the Mast and the Fold Pro. Great machines, guys. You can get 10% off using code AXEL. The link is in the description. But let's move on to the next tips now, and I have got 5 things that I wish I knew before I became a tattoo artist. Because I've been a tattoo artist for 6 years, but I want to share with you today 5 things I wish I knew before I became a tattoo artist. First thing is that tattooing skin is nothing like drawing or painting. It's also nothing like tattooing fake skin. Skin is a living, breathing medium to actually do artwork on, and it varies so much depending on where you're actually doing a tattoo. Tattooing someone's forearm is not the same as like tattooing someone's neck or something. Bad example really, but all parts of the body are different to tattoo. All different areas have different skin elasticity, firmness, thickness. You can't get a feel for it until you've actually done it. So no amount of tattooing oranges, fake skin, drawing, painting on canvases, paper, whatever, is going to prepare you for what the skin is actually like. So that is why I actually suggest that you tattoo yourself when you're starting out. I was quite a good artist before I started to learn to tattoo, and I thought, it's just not going to be that hard. But actually it was very hard, and my first tattoos did not come out well because I did not know how to actually use the machine with skin, because it is not like anything else. Guys, the next thing is that different tattoo styles require completely different techniques. So doing like black and grey realism or in a traditional colour piece, they require completely different techniques, and so you really need to find what you're good at, and you also need to experiment and try to do different tattoos. Depending on what kind of tattoo artist you are, when you get to the top of the tattoo industry, you can kind of pick and choose what tattoos you do, and you might just want to stick to your one particular style and have your kind of brand as a specialist in that particular style. But for most people starting out, you're going to be asked to do all kinds of different tattoos, which is actually good because you can learn and trade that way. But you need to know that different tattoos are going to require completely different techniques, different types of needles. If you're doing shading, you've got so many different types of shading: smooth shading, pepper shading, whip shading, all this stuff, and they're all completely different hand movements, and it's just so much variety in it. So it's kind of like painting another art in that way. that there's a million ways to do a certain tattoo. You need to know what styles require what techniques and what kind of needle groupings and what equipment. So that is something that is key. So you do your research on how to do a particular tattoo style before you start actually applying that to skin or wherever you're doing it. Coil machines are outdated and you don't need to use them. Most tattoo artists never use coil machine at all. The only time you need a coil machine really is for like really traditional kind of 90s style stuff, and those coil machines hit a lot harder and you can get nice solid lines with those. You can still do great traditional tattoos with a rotary machine. Just get yourself a rotary machine if you're starting out and learn that way, and that will make your life so much easier. Put a comment in if you've got any questions. I'm happy to answer everything in depth. And guys, this is something you need to be aware of. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of stuff that is incorrect, and there's I don't know why, to be honest, because I don't know why people want to be on YouTube if they don't want to actually share the correct advice, but there you go. Another thing as well is don't necessarily have to get a tattoo apprenticeship. You might live in a rural area, you might not have apprenticeships around. Don't let that stop you from being a tattoo artist. You know, buy the equipment, practice on your fake skin or whatever, practice on yourself, and just go for it, you know. Okay, next thing guys, you need a portfolio of designs if you want to be taken seriously by clients, anyone you want to work with, anything like that. So you need to get into the habit of drawing, doing artwork outside, as I was saying before, outside of tattooing, and building yourself a portfolio of designs. You might be a digital artist, you can have a digital portfolio, whatever you like. Just make sure that you have got that, so to show your potential clients when you're starting out, because obviously they haven't seen your other tattoos. I would say don't pick up a tattoo machine unless you have a portfolio of other artwork. Make sure everything's neat, make sure everything's crisp, and people will be happy for you to translate that onto their skin. If you're enjoying the content so far, do consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel. I have got much more like this on the way, but let's move on to the next set of tips now. We are looking at some fantastic beginner advice, so that if you are starting out on your tattoo journey, or even if you are an intermediate, you can get some help with these tips. The first thing I want to talk to you about is the stroke length of your machine and how that is important for the tattoos that you're doing. Now, if you don't know what stroke is, the stroke is how far the tattoo needle actually moves back and forth. So you'll find that a short stroke will move maybe 2.5 millimeters, which is quite short, and you'll have a longer stroke, which is normally about 4.5 millimeters, which actually gives you more penetration on your needle when you're doing your tattoos. And so what you'll find is a longer stroke is better for line work, and a shorter stroke is better for doing shading and color packing and stuff like that. You've got a medium stroke as well, which is, as I say, about 3.5 millimeters. And this is quite versatile. This can kind of do a bit of everything. So I would recommend, if you're looking to get a new tattoo machine or your first tattoo machine, that you either one, get a medium stroke machine, two, get two machines, so one short stroke, one long stroke, or you can get a machine with a variable stroke, which means you can adjust it as you go. So that's something to look out for, guys. The next thing I want to share with you is about when to rinse your needles. Now, there seems to be a bit of conflicting information online about this one, and it's not something that's broadly covered. So I want to give you a few examples of when you should be rinsing your needle. So kind of three scenarios I'd like to give you. So the first one is when you're taking a break, because what you'll find is that if you're taking a break for half an hour or whatever, you are going to find that the ink is going to dry up on that needle, and that is going to affect the ink flow when you start up tattooing again. Another example of when you want to rinse your needle is when you're going into a lighter tone. So let's say you're doing black and grey and you've got, you know, your different tones set up. I normally recommend just having 3 tones. I mean, we'll see people that are a bit fancy and they might have like 10 different tones. I think that's overkill, to be honest, and it's not really going to make a massive difference. But guys, you can work however you like. If that's what you want to do, then, you know, don't listen to me. But I like to work with 3 different shades for my black and grey. And what you'll find is if you're dipping from you know, like a heavy black into your lightest tone, you're actually going to darken that tone up pretty quickly, because depending on how much ink is in that cartridge, that's just going to spill into your lighter tone. So you want to make sure that you are rinsing out that needle before you're dipping into your lighter tones. When you're going up a tone, it doesn't really matter as much, because there's a lot less chance of you sort of contaminating that tone with a lighter colour. It's not really going to have an effect. Another one is, of course, when you're changing tones with colour inks. You'll find that you can get away with just rinsing and dipping into a different shade of color if it is a similar color, but you're better off just using a separate needle for these tones. But just make sure that you're rinsing your needles whenever you're changing the tone of color, as well as just your black and gray. So guys, something to look out for. Any questions at all, just pop them in the comments. As you know, I'm always happy to answer your questions in depth. Guys, let's move on to the next tip. Guys, the next tip is about different skin types. So what you'll find is that there's a lot of different factors that will affect your tattoo. So it can be the client's age, can be the client's ethnicity, can just be their general skin type. We'll find that people have sensitive skin as well. It can be related to health, it can be related to, you know, sometimes people can just have a sensitive skin day. Guys, if someone's got sensitive skin, you'll find that the skin is going to swell up really quickly. And that means that you can't work on that area, leave it and then come back to it again like a few minutes later, or even for the rest of the day, to be honest, because once you've hit that skin, it is irritated and you need to move on. So it's always very good practice to start your tattoos from the bottom up, or just from one area, and then work your way out. That is so that you are not going back and forth and touching loads of areas of the skin, because you can get away with that with some people, but if they've got sensitive skin, you're going to mess that tattoo up, guys. So always good practice to start your tattoos kind of like a printer. So start from the bottom and work your way up. That's mainly because you don't want to rub the stencil off, so normally we start from the bottom, but always good practice, guys, to do that. So hit the area, move on, and don't come back to it unless you really have to, because if someone has got sensitive skin, that is going to cause you major dramas. It's very key that you change your approach depending on the skin type. I mean, one thing you'll find is that if you're tattooing someone that's quite young, maybe like 18, 19 years old, their skin has got a lot of bounce and a lot of elasticity. Sometimes the needle's literally just bouncing off the skin. So that is going to be completely different to someone who has got more aged skin. Obviously, I don't want to offend anyone here, but obviously as you age, your skin loses its elasticity. So if you're tattooing someone that's, you know, 60 years old or so, that is going to be completely different to tattooing someone who's younger. It's actually easier because you'll find that the ink just flows in really nicely, as opposed to someone that's a bit younger. So you do want to take a bit of a firmer approach with younger skin and a lighter approach with older skin. Guys, the next tip I want to share with you is a very important one, and something that no one's really going to tell you guys. And this is about marketing and you're developing your personal brand. So guys, tattooing is three things. It's a service trade, it's an art form, and it is your personal brand. And as with all art forms, guys, being the best artist is only going to get you so far. You need to work on your marketing, guys, so that you can maximize your exposure and your amount of clients, and ultimately the amount of money and success that you're going to get out of tattooing. One thing I really recommend is getting yourself a good logo. You get this off Fiverr, or you can make it yourself, you know, whatever. But a good logo is, for any business, very important. Another thing that you want to do is get business cards. Guys, you'll get so many clients from handing out business cards. It's actually crazy. People like to get tattoos from people that they've met, and they like to get the gist of someone. And if you meet a lot of people and you're out networking, stuff like that, get those business cards out there, guys. Trust me, you get so many clients. It is crazy. You also, as I say, you want to get your logo. You want to work on your whole personal brand, guys. Do make sure that you've got a separate personal Instagram to your business Instagram. That is quite key, guys, because that is going to affect your whole marketed presence. The next thing I want to share with you is about tattooing your friends when you start out. Now, you'd think that this is a good idea, you know, obviously you can get good experience from tattooing your friends and they'll be happy to be guinea pigs and stuff like that, and kind of makes sense. But an issue is, guys, is that your first tattoos are not going to be your best work, and your friends are going to act as an advert for you, and people are going to judge your artwork based on those tattoos. And also, those tattoos, you're going to have to see them all the time. It's going to follow you around for your whole career, guys. So make sure that you are not tattooing your friends until you are ready. You're not going to be able to hide from those tattoos, guys, because no one is going to forgive the fact that you were a beginner when you did those tattoos. So, and obviously, it's better to try and do these in areas that are not going to be exposed constantly. So that's something to look out for, guys. Not something that many people are going to share with you, but it's definitely an issue. Guys, I always recommend that you tattoo yourself when you're starting out, and obviously your fake skin. Say every artist is different, so you'll find that some people completely disagree with this and they say you shouldn't tattoo yourself. But I mean, how is anyone else going to trust you to do a tattoo on them if you can't even trust yourself to do a tattoo on your own body? So for me, it makes perfect sense. Tattoo yourself, guys. It's the best way to learn when you're starting out, because fake skin does not bleed, it does not stretch, and it's nothing like real skin. This is the first tattoo I ever did on my leg. There's another tattoo that I'd started, which was on my forearm. I also tattooed my own fingers. Guys, I have actually done a really bad tattoo on myself as well, which I've actually had it half lasered, and now I'm just kind of leaving it like all fucked up and lasered off. It's better to mess these tattoos up on yourself than on your friends or someone else, guys. So something to look out for. So when you're starting out, you might want to give people cheap tattoos. I actually don't think you should do this, guys. I think that you should take the approach of giving out free tattoos or accepting donations. Because what happens is if you're actually charging people a rate like you're a professional or you're someone who's making money off it, that's actually going to stick with these clients. And if they ever come back, you're going to struggle to raise your prices, and it's actually going to cause you a bit of bother, guys. So if you're undercutting other artists by just doing dirt cheap tattoos, not only does that say a lot about you and that you don't value your own artwork, but that is also not good for the industry as a whole. So guys, make sure that you're charging a fair rate or you're not charging at all. Guys, that's just my advice. You do whatever you want to do, but any questions, do pop those in the comments, and I'm happy to help you. I'm here to give you great content, guys, and to help you out in your tattoo journeys. If you're learning to tattoo in 2024, this video is for you. These are the things that you need to do, and the first thing is to actually just do it. Now, there is a bit of a misconception that you need to get a tattoo apprenticeship before you pick up a tattoo machine, or just before you even start learning properly. This isn't actually true, because a lot of people want to be tattoo artists, but there might not necessarily be available tattoo apprenticeships where they're from. You know, they might live in a rural area. It might just be too competitive where they are, and that is going to be a blockage for you to actually learn to tattoo. So my advice is to actually just do it and practice on fake skin, practice on yourself, and literally just go from there, because that is gonna get you one foot in the door of becoming a tattoo artist. You know, if you're tattooing yourself, there's actually you can actually do quite good work. I'll show you a tattoo that I did on myself. So guys, that is a tattoo that I started. I haven't finished it yet, but that is done on my own arm by myself. So practice on yourself, guys. You know, you kind of need two hands to tattoo, so I don't recommend doing the arm. It is a little bit tricky. Second thing I want to share with you guys is that tattooing is a technical skill. It's not necessarily all about artistry. You do need to be a good artist to be a successful tattoo artist, but it's only 50% of what tattooing actually is, because a lot of the time you're just tracing and copying a stencil. And so apart from the design process, there is just a technical element to actually getting straight lines, using the machine, getting the correct depth, using the right needles, all the right settings, all that sort of stuff. And that is actually a technical skill. So some of the best tattoo artists aren't necessarily the best artists, but they are really good technicians, and they know what they're doing and they know their stuff. So if you're not the best artist in the world, doesn't mean you can't be a tattoo artist, because some amazing artists aren't successful tattoo artists because their tattoos just look like shit, because they can't do a straight line, they're jerky, they haven't got steady hands, you know, they just don't know what they're doing. And so if you can educate yourself on the technical aspects of tattooing, yeah, you're already halfway there. Okay, the next one I want to share with you is to do other artwork. So obviously if you are learning to tattoo, you do want a portfolio of drawings and whatever other art mediums that you do. It could be digital designs, that sort of thing, but you do need to do other artwork if you're starting out in tattooing. You can't just do tattoos or just do fake tattoos. You need to show that you can draw, show your potential clients that you are serious about tattooing, and obviously it's just good practice to try and draw out tattoo designs. And another thing is as well, once you become quite a hardcore tattoo artist, you tend not to have time for other artwork. So it's good to actually stay in touch with that and do as much other artwork as you can, and that helps you tattooing, and that helps you as well. So especially if you're starting out, do lots of drawings and lots of designs and stuff like that, and just get yourself prepared for when you do start getting busy, start getting lots of clients. Guys, next one to share with you is that you need to get the right education when you're learning to tattoo, and that might be on YouTube from people like myself. I want to share with you the best possible information, everything that I know, and I do know from learning myself 6 years ago that there is a lot of crap online, people telling you, you know, you need to learn coils first and all this other stuff. So a lot of it is a load of crap. So I would just find good tattoo educators that are going to help you progress, and I would follow them and I would study them. I'd watch lots of live tattoos, immerse yourself in the whole culture, watch tattoo shows, stuff like that, whatever. Just get yourself ahead of the game by studying as much as you can online. A lot of the good information is going to be behind a paywall, because tattooing is a secretive trade. people don't want to just give away their secrets, and the industry self-regulates itself and doesn't necessarily saturating the tattoo artist marketplace. Guys, next thing I want to share with you is to invest in good equipment. Tattoo equipment is not cheap, it is quite expensive. You're looking at sort of £500 to £1,000 just for the tattoo machine, and then obviously there's all the other equipment and stuff involved. Do not get a Chinese made tattoo machine from Amazon or something like that. The problem is the build quality is really important in terms of giving you consistent tattoos. You'll tell the difference. You really get what you pay for with tattoo machines. I mean, I'll show you the first tattoo machine I got. This is the Quadron Proton, and this was a pen style rotary machine, and it was recommended to me by a tattoo artist who is called Edgar, and he did this tattoo on me, which was I think my second tattoo I got. And obviously, you know, that's a fantastic tattoo in my opinion. If he was able to do that with that machine, which was only £400 or so, I thought that was a great shout to be my first tattoo machine, because that's the sort of style I wanted to get into, and it's very good for that black and grey kind of stuff. It's a bit light hitting, so you can actually do every style with it, but you will struggle a bit more with some of the heavier line worked style tattoos, traditional and stuff like that. But it worked great. But I will tell you, it did break after about 2 years, and that is due to the build quality. I then upgraded to the Dragonhawk. See if I can show it to you, which is more like a £800 machine, so about double the price. And you can tell the difference. The build quality is much better. It's more stable, feels better to use, and my tattoos did improve from using a more expensive machine. But you can kind of make do with what you got. Just don't buy some cheap machines from China, stuff like that. Build quality is so important. You are working on people's skin, so I think they deserve the best equipment, and you'll make your money back so quickly anyway. So just invest in the best equipment that you possibly can. Guys, another thing I would invest in as well, at some point, you have to do it straight away, but that is a stencil printer. I recommend the Brother stencil printers. They're the best ones on the market, in my opinion. And these will just make your life so much easier in terms of doing script tattoos, geometric stuff like that. You don't really want to be hand stenciling stuff that requires that kind of precision. Much better off getting a thermal printer. This one was about £500, I think, so as again, it is expensive to get into tattooing if you want to do it right, but you will make your money back very quickly. The next thing I would highly recommend is that you learn Photoshop as soon as possible. So even after you've done this video, learn some basics of Photoshop, or actually find a tattoo. I mean, I'll have some in future, but find some tattoo tutorials about how to make designs in Photoshop and how to sort of edit things and resize and all that sort of stuff, because you really need Photoshop these days to be top tattoo artist. They used to do it like hand stenciling by hand over a light box and stuff like that, and that is obviously a very outdated way of doing things. So you want to get yourself Photoshop, thermal printer, get up to speed with the modern way of tattooing, and guys, best of luck with it all. Do just want to let you know that if you need any help at all, I am available in the comments section. Do leave your questions and comments below. But let's move on to the next set of tips now, and I have just got a few marketing tips for you to finish on. Very important stuff. So the first thing you need to do is make yourself a logo, fantastic logo. You need to get yourself business cards. I've got so many clients from handing out business cards, guys, it's crazy. It's one of the best things that you can possibly do, especially if you're quite social and you meet a lot of people. Get those business cards out there, you'll get fantastic results. People like to get tattoos from people that they know, because it's obviously a personal thing, and there's a little bit of fear involved as well. So if they already know who they're going to get the tattoo from, it does a world of good. Guys, let's talk about sponsorships. So sponsorships is basically free stuff. So you're getting free equipment, you're getting free booths at conventions, stuff like that. If you're a good artist, you need to be using the equipment that you want to be sponsored by, the manufacturer you want to be sponsored by. You need to be hashtagging all of their products in your Instagram posts, because these guys have people who literally search Instagram, search the hashtags, trying to find artists that they can get to promote their brand. Especially if you've got a good following, if you've got like 20-30k, you can actually look at getting sponsored. The main thing, guys, is to have a USP. Now that is a unique sales point. Originality in the art world is everything, because a million other people is doing the same kind of tattoos as you. If you can do something different, if you can bring something different to the table, you need to have a unique sales point if you want to really take it to the next level. If you're an amazing artist and you can do the best realism better than other people, you can do everything better than everyone else, then sure, you can get there. But come on, let's be honest, guys, that's not most of us. So we need to have a USP. Need to have a unique, original style for us to stand out. And we also need to wrap that and package that up in unique marketing as well. Guys, if you can do that, you are halfway there.